up, everybody? My name is Shannon and I am still waiting for my Satyr, and today we are talking about Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. So I am a really big fan of the movies Howl's Moving Castle. I've always been a big Studio Ghibli fan ever since I was young, and pretty recently Howl's Moving Castle has become one of my favorites from that. It's a comfort movie for me. I just put it on when I'm in a mood or anything like that. I love listening to the music in the background, and I decided that I really wanted to check out the book because I really wanted to see like what was different, what was the same. And I was starting to see posts of people talk about like the differences with like how Sophie is and how Howl is within the story. And so I really wanted to see that for myself. This book was written in the 80s and it definitely has a lot of like the hallmarks of an 80s fairy tale. It is very fantasy in like a whimsical way. You're kind of dropped into this story where you meet Sophie, who is the eldest daughter. And as the eldest daughter, she thinks that she doesn't really deserve anything. Like she's gonna get the short end of the stick, and she's for the most part okay with that. She's okay with seeing her sisters go off and do amazing things, even her mother go off and do amazing things, while she's left alone to tend her father's hat shop. So when she meets up with the Witch of the Wastes and is cursed and turns into an old woman, she decides, you know what, whatever, like I am just going to accept this and I'm gonna go off and I'm gonna see what my life brings about. And what I really like about this story, and something that you notice really early on, is that the Witch of the Waste really isn't like a huge character within this story. She is very much the villain. She's in the background, but the meandering style of the story just kind of has her like this looming presence in the background, and she doesn't ever really do anything other than instill fear, and that really gave Sophie a ton of agency in this story. I actually adore book Sophie, I think more than movie Sophie, and that's just because like she has this really interesting way about her, and she even looks at herself in the mirror and she's like, I'm so plain, I don't do anything, like I might as well just be an old woman. So when she becomes one, it's not really a surprise to her, and it's not in the movie either, and she really comes out of her shell. Like you see her confidence boosting, and I really loved that about her. This journey really is about her self-discovery, and as she meets Howl, as she meets Michael and Calcifer along the way, you get to learn these new facets about her. One of the biggest departures from the book that the movie does is the character of Michael. So in the movie, it's Markle, and he's like a young boy. He's Howl's apprentice, and Howl does have an apprentice in the book, but his name is Michael, and he's about Sophie's age. And I thought that was interesting that they completely removed that character, but it makes sense, and I'm glad that they just created a new character from the movie instead of trying to say that that was Michael, because while they're similar, they are very different characters. He has an interesting arc with Sophie's other sister, which isn't present in the movie. So I really liked what he added to the story. They really feel like a family unit in a different way than they do in the movie, but that heart is still present. And it's that heart that I really liked. Like the movie is very different. Like I watched the movie again right after I finished this book, and it is very different, but at the same time, like the vibe is still so similar, and they pick like these big moments and they still give a lot of credit to it. Like one of my favorite scenes is when Howl like has his literal meltdown, and that's in the book as well. I love how vain Howl is. I love, you know, seeing his interactions with Sophie, and in the book it's really dialed up. Their interactions are always ending in an argument. They bicker, like it's so funny. And then to see how they translated that into the movie, I really see why like Miyazaki did what he did, because it fits into his style, but he kept that original heart and like the bare bones of what was presented in this book. I really enjoyed this book, and I am giving it an A-. But the reason I'm giving it an A- is because I feel like it was really slow. The plot really meanders. But again, like this book was written in the 80s, so that makes sense. Like I was kind of expecting it to do that. And a lot of the plot is shoved in right at the very last second. But I gotta say, those last two chapters are so good because you didn't even realize like what emotions were building until they are released. You just kind of feel this tension. You're like, I don't really know where we're going. I don't know what's going on, but like there's something happening. And when it all comes to a head, like it just falls into place really nicely, which I really like. I will say, I do really enjoy the book Howl and Sophie's relationship, But I really love what they do to movie Howl and Sophie. I think they added like this extra fairy tale element within the movie that's not present in the book. It's a lot quieter, it's a lot subtler within the story. But overall, I think both of these stories are just truly beautiful. Like, this is gonna go down as like one of my favorites. Like, I put this in my like favorites on Goodreads because it's just so comforting, and I would really recommend it. I would just say keep in mind it's not going to be exactly like the movie, and at some points it's not at all like the movie, but that heart is still the same. So if you're a fan of it, I think you're really going to find something special within this story, and I know I certainly cannot wait to read this book over and over and over again. There are 2 other books in the series. They're not explicitly about Howl and Sophie while they are still present. I don't think I'm going to read those. I might, but I just read a little bit about them. I'm like, I don't know if those are going to be for me, so we'll see how it goes. But I would definitely recommend this story if you are a fan of these characters. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to hit the like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe to Talk Books with me every week. That's everything I got for today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.